Because when it comes to making a horse soft and responsive, a lot of people know that how you actually make a horse hard in the face to begin with is the fact that you are cranking and jerking on their face and you don't have correct timing with release, and it teaches a horse to brace against the pressure. And so if you're constantly hard with your hands on with your horse and you're constantly jerking on their face and you don't have correct timing on release, that's how you're going to get a horse that is really hard in the face. So why does it make a difference when it comes to light pressure with a horse? Whether you're sitting there and jerking and putting 20 pounds of pressure on that horse's face, or whether you're putting 2 ounces of pressure on that horse's face, just like that. What is the difference? All you're doing is teaching that horse. If you're not reminding them exactly what needs to be done, all you're doing is teaching that horse is to ignore those cues and those signals. In the words of Carson James, he says this all the time. If everyone knows that a horse can feel a fly land anywhere on its body, it's time to start riding like we actually believe that. And so if a horse can feel a fly land anywhere on its body, how come people don't seem to believe that a horse can feel that when it comes to picking up those reins? You don't even have to put pressure on those reins. Right there is your signal to that horse. Now Phil here is going to be a really good example of this. Phil's a horse that, Phil is short for Philly Nick, by the way. She's not just Phil. But she's going to be a really good example of showing you guys how and showing the progression through this. Because I did all the original training on this horse when I got her as a 2-year-old. And I had her for a year or so, and I ended up having to sell her and bought her back this summer. Well, she'd been ridden by kids for, 3 or 4 years. And so she's gotten really dull and unresponsive because kids tend to be really hard with their hands and jerky, and kids don't know about correct timing and release when it comes to riding a horse. And so Phil has gotten pretty dull and unresponsive. And I'm riding Phil in the 2-rein today because it's a good opportunity for her to just pack the bit around. As you see, I just got my Rommels here over my saddle horn. It's just a good opportunity for her to pack this spade bit around and get accustomed to it and really learn how to hold that bit. But other than that, everything that I'm going to be doing is mostly going to be two-handed and with the hackamore. I'm not even going to pick up these Rommel reins. I'm just going to keep them over my saddle horn. But it's a really good opportunity for her, since we're out here working horses today, for her to just pack this spade bit around and really just get a feel for it and learn how it moves and learn how to hold that bit. But everything that I'm going to be doing with her today is going to be done with the hackamore. And so when it comes to making a horse light, like I said, a lot of people really just misunderstand the light hands make a light horse. And like I said, I'm rebranding it for people to understand by saying black and white makes a horse light. And I explained in my video that I posted on TikTok, what I mean by that is there's no gray area with your horse. It's either you ask or you get after them. It's giving her that chance to respond to that light. Think about what you want your horse to be light at. I say it's that 1 to 2 ounces of pressure on that horse's face. And with my horses, especially like Phil here, who knows better, she's been ridden bridleless. When I used to have her, I could ride her bridleless because she was so soft and in tune with my seat and legs that I could go out and do whatever I wanted without a bridle on her. But since she's been ridden by kids for a few years, she needs a refresher on a lot of these things. And so when it comes to being black and white, and my horses, when I want my horses, pick up your head. My horses, how I want them to respond, how I want them to, when I ask them to do something, like if I want my horse to back, I want response from this. Just picking up those reins. I don't even have to put pressure on those reins. I want response from this. I don't want response from jerking. And I want you guys to notice too, before I get into doing this and showing you what I mean, I want you to notice that everything I do is with one hand or the other. I'm never pulling back on 2 reins, both sides at once. It's always one hand or the other when I go about doing it. I can't remember if it was Ray Hunt or Dorrance that said it, but he said that no horse has ever been fixed by pulling on both of the reins. And so everything that you do, you want to do when you're correcting your horse with one hand or the other. You don't want to get after them and start pulling on both sides of their face. And so what I mean by black and white, like I said, my horses, I want them to respond. And Phil here used to be able to respond to when I wanted her to back. All I had to do was this, and she'd start backing up. And that's how I want them to respond, and I want them to. So that's what I'm going to have as my black. This is my black right here, what I want her to respond to. And I'll show you what I mean by white. There's no gray area. There's no, okay, 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 okay. See all that gray area there? All that does is teach a horse that, okay, I got asked again, I got told, and then they demanded. Broke horses, if she was a green horse, I would have a little more gray area for a green horse to make that decision to respond to the ask. And a lot of people know about the ask, tell, demand. When it comes to that, when it comes to broke horses, there's no tell in the middle. There's no gray area. The ask, tell, demand is for green horses, for horses that are learning. Horses that know better, horses that know what you're asking of them, there's only ask and there's only demand. There's only black and there's only white. There's no gray area, there's no tell. And so my ask is going to be the black. Hey, I'm asking. And then I get no response. And so now my demand is going to be the white. And when she doesn't respond, ask her, hey, get after them, just like that. And you're going to see some progression here with her. And keep in mind too that I am using my seat and legs, and when she starts progressing, you'll notice later on, I use my whole body to ask my horses to do something. So when I ask them to back, I ask with my seat, my legs, my whole body, by picking up those reins, and so they know what I'm asking them to do. So that when I'm standing here doing stuff like this and the reins are moving around, my horse isn't, what is she doing? This horse is going to know, okay, I'm just talking with my hands, I'm just educating, I'm just explaining, and then they're going to know, okay, now I'm asking this. That's how I want my horses to be. You ride with your whole body. Ooh. And so let's try the back again with the ask and the demand, the black and white. So we're going to ask, we're going to get after. 1 ounce of pressure, 1 step release. We don't want to get greedy with this process. We're not going to be like, okay, she's responding. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Because all that's going to do is get a horse sour to exercising and doing what you're asking him to do. So you want to take 1 step at a time, even when you're doing these refreshers with this horse that knows how to do this stuff. She's done it before. But even in refreshers, green horses, whatever, you want to take it 1 step at a time. When you're climbing a ladder, you don't go 1st step, 8th step, 16th step. When you're climbing a ladder, you take 1 step at a time to get to the top, to get to your goal. It's the same thing with horses. When you're starting and doing a refresher or teaching something new, 1 step at a time. And then as they start getting really good with that 1 step when you ask, 1 step when you ask, 1 step, and they're really consistent, all right, let's pick up the pace. 1 step, 2 step, 1 step, 2 step. All right, now they're starting to get really good. It's the same thing when you're starting to teach your horses to do their haunch turns and forehand turns and side passing. 1 step at a time. Teach that horse, they do the right thing, they get the release. They move when you ask, they get that release. That's their reward. You ask, they do, release. So let's try this again. We're going to ask her to back. Hey. 1 ounce of pressure, 10 ounces of pressure. There's no in between, no gray area. We're going to ask. Hey. And you see here, she's starting to get a little more mentally focused and like waiting for me to ask her to do something. She's not looking around as much either. We're going to ask. Hey. We're going to ask. we're going to release. It was a little itty bitty step there. It was the most lazy thing that she could do. She's a lazy horse, but she did the right thing. Ooh, hey, same thing when it comes to stop. Asked her to woo, she blew through it. Now we're going to demand. We're going to go to the white. I asked, we went black, we went white. Try it again. There we go. Now, generally with a more broke horse, like if I was on Reba, which I've been riding Reba, more so, obviously. I said she's been gone for a few years. Reba knows better. She's knowing good. And I would expect a quicker response than that. You could see Phil there kind of just tucked her head, waited, and then took a step. But we're rewarding. You could see that she was making an effort. I saw her tuck her head down, and I was like, is she going to make the right decision, or am I going to have to go to white? So let's try it again. Ask. There we go. And as they start to get more consistent, when you're asking, black, hey. That's when you could start asking for more speed, more accuracy, straightness. Phil here tends to be quite a lazy horse. She really just kind of wants to drag her feet. But you could see here, hey, she's already starting to really just respond and getting more consistent with the ask, and I'm not having to get to the demand. She's going with, all right, I want to respond to this and not, I don't want that. She's starting to respond a lot better. And try it again. There we go. One step at a time. One step at a time. Hey. And this horse is an extremely, extremely smart horse. The new owner that had gotten her from the lady that I sold her to originally, that I bought her from, she came back here. Phil never tried anything with me, but she got bored and started trying bucking, bolting, rearing, spinning. She started developing some pretty bad habits because she didn't have a job for one, and she had that person's number. She was just like, you know what, I know that this person isn't going to get after me the way that Sarah does. And so she's a lot better with me than she is a lot of other people. Now, even if I'm just around, see how much she's responded already? Like, I'm just picking up that slack out of that reins. I'm asking with my legs in my seat, shifting my weight, and she's feeling that, and she's already starting to respond. And then as she gets better, hey, there we go. As she gets better and more light and responsive, I can kind of just bump her a little bit with those reins, bump her with my legs to remind her to keep going. Just keep going. And I can feel that she's going to quit on me, but instead of waiting for her to quit and give her and then get after her, I'm going to quit before she does, because we're doing a refresher right now. Now, if this was Reba, who knows better, she knows how to keep going when I ask her. You keep doing what I'm asking until I stop. Ooh. Then I would get after her. I would wait for her to stop. I'd be like, all right, I feel you starting to quit on me. And when you quit, I'm going to ask for a couple more steps. I'm going to get after you. Whereas Phil, we're doing a refresher. We're trying to get that back. And so we're going to be a little more forgiving with her, just like you kind of would with a green horse or a horse that's gotten really hard in the face over the years from improper riding. And that's how we're going to go about doing it, is we're just going to kind of ask for one step at a time, pick up your head. Phil has a really hard time too with just kind of bearing her weight down on her shoulders, and that's just the way that she's conformationally built. Conformationally, she naturally carries most of her, all horses carry most of their weight on their front end. But Phil really just wants to carry almost all of her weight on her front end. So you can see me when I'm asking her back sometimes. You could see her, she's just kind of like that. I'll get after her and ask her to pick up her head and be like, hey, we're not a Western pleasure horse. We're a bridle horse. We're going to be a bridle horse. We don't drag our nose in the dirt. And the same thing that comes to, not just when it comes to backing, as you guys could see, when it comes to backing, the black and white doesn't come into play just for backing. It comes for your hands, it comes from your seat, comes from your legs and your feet. All of that is black and white, makes a horse light. If you got a horse that's a peddler, that every single step you have to keep going, otherwise they're just gonna stop. It's because, or you got a horse that when you ask them to trot, you have to kick them 5 or 6 times and kick, pop, and then they kind of get going. You're adding a lot of gray area to that horse, and you're not light in your seat. What you need to be doing when you're asking that horse to go and pick up that gait, all you need to be doing to get your horse light and responsive, to get your horse to move forward, is all you need to do is this. And you could see here she was like, do I need to go forward? But I wasn't asking with my seat for her to go forward. She was like, wait, are we gonna? You don't need to get your horse to walk. You don't need to walk. Riding like that, all it's going to do is going to get you a horse that's dull and unresponsive to your legs. If you just sit there and go every single time you ask him to walk, you're going to get a horse that's dull and unresponsive to your legs. Ooh. There we asked her to stop and she blew through it, so we're going to get after her. See that? Ask, demand, black, white. See there, I asked her with my seat and my legs to move forward. When I want my horses to walk forward, I kind of prop up a little bit on my seat, just position my body like I'm preparing myself to move forward, and I ask that horse to move forward. Ooh. You blow through the stop there. I asked her to woo, and she blew through. And got after her. Ooh. This horse used to have a really nice, this horse could slide. And I could get some 11s on her that were 6 feet long from my seat. We'd just be loping along and I would just hoot, and this horse would just and you could see that over the years, getting ridden by kids, she's learned to ride by, not collecting herself up, being lazy. Like, look at her walk right now. This horse naturally has a tendency to want to be lazy. She does. She's one of those horses that's going to see if she can get away with something. She's going to see if she could get away with this. And every single time, even when I had her before, she was the type of horse that most days when you got on her, she was just going to see if she could get away with not listening. And not, being mentally alert and focused on me. Ooh. So we're going to get after her. That black and white right there. We're going to watch some progress here. See how she does. Pick up that head. It's one of those things right here where she's trying to kind of dip her head down and just bear down on that front end. We want her, when we get into these stops, to start engaging her hind end. And you can't engage the hind end for a stop when all your weight is on your front end. Ready, try again. Ooh. We're going to start getting after her a little bit more now even. It's 1 ounce of pressure, 10 pounds of pressure. 1 ounce of pressure, 20 pounds of pressure. She's had plenty of opportunity. She's smart enough. I know what this horse is capable of because I taught her to do it. So we're going to get after her. We're going to ask her to walk out. Hey. Ooh. As soon as she takes a step to blow through that stop, when I ask her to, that's when I get after her. She knows better. There she's ignoring my legs, so I got after her. Got her with my spurs a little bit there because she tends to really want to ignore your seat and legs right now after being ridden by kids. Ooh. She's not having any inclination right now of wanting to listen to that ask. So I'm really getting after her with it. We're going to watch her get some progress here. We've had some hot days and up at close to the 50s and some really cold nights, so our horses got a little bit snotty noses and stuff. Here she's wanting to ignore my leg when I'm asking her to get over, so we're going to get after her there. Hey. We're going to get up on that hind end. There we go. See, that time, the previous times that I've been asking her to stop, she's been blowing through it. And I was getting after her right away. She did kind of blow through that stop this time for me, but I could feel in her body that she was coming to a stop. So I'm not going to get after her that time. The previous times, there was no thought about it. She was just ignoring me completely. She was just like, eh. That time, I could feel as soon as I shifted my weight and picked up those reins, she started to slow and stop. She took a couple extra steps after I asked for it, but her body language, I could feel it. She was getting there. So as that becomes better, as she keeps responding like that, that's when I'll start kind of getting more demanding with her about it. But right now, I'm waiting for her to give me that body language and give her the opportunity to actually make that decision so I don't have to get to that white right away. Like I said, if that was Reba, I would have gotten after her for coming to a slower stop like that, blowing through with 2 steps when I asked her to stop. But Phil here, since we're doing a refresher on her, we're not going to be as harsh with her. Right there, I made a mistake. I'm not afraid to call myself out when I make mistakes. That was a mistake right there. I didn't read her body language quite right, and she was coming to a stop, and I still went to get after her. Keep going. That's another thing this horse does. You could see there that she was getting ready to stop, kind of because I've been stopping her in the same place. She'll anticipate and try to do stuff before you ask her to. So we want to push through that stop because I didn't ask her to stop. She was only assuming that I was going to ask her to stop right there. No inclination, no thought process, no body language right there to try to stop. So we got after her. She blew through that ask. There we go. I could feel her body just slow down. She took a couple extra steps, and that's all right. Let's go back at it. Black. We don't need to go to the demand. We don't need to go to the white right there because she slowed down and stopped. And we'll see here if she's a little more, if she starts being consistent with that when I ask her. She's giving me that body language that she's actually going to do it and stopping and stops without me having to get into the white with her, get into that demand. And then we'll start getting a little more demanding with her so we can get better stops. Hey. We're going to really get after her here because she's really kind of wanting to just ignore things. Like I said, she's a horse that's just going to see if you're going to make her do stuff. And she's just being kind of, And here in a minute, I guarantee you I'm really going to have to get after her for a minute just to liven up those feet on her. Because she's just dragging through, just doing the bare minimum right now. She's just trying to see if she can get away with being slow and see. I didn't keep riding her, so she's stopping. I'm not paying attention, so she's like, I'm just gonna stop. She's not telling me to keep going. She's not paying attention. We're gonna see if we can get away with that stop. We'll try one more time, and then we'll see if we're gonna have to get after this mare for just a minute. Liven up those feet, because she's really just wanting to try to get away with the bare minimum. And I don't want a horse that just gives me the bare minimum. I want a horse that gives me their all, gives me an actual effort. I don't want a good enough for government work mentality. All right, so now we're going to get after. We're going to just really just kind of, hey, focus up here, back. A lot of the times I tell you guys not to get greedy with your horses and get super demanding like this. But this horse really knows better. And I am going to get just a little bit greedy right here with her, with my hands, with my legs. I'm going to get very demanding with everything that I'm asking her to do right here, because we just need to liven this horse up for a second. Get her understanding here that she needs to pay attention. She needs to be mentally focused. She needs to give me a little more effort what I'm asking her to do than just the bare minimum. We're just going to get after her here for a second. Ooh. Back. We're just going to remind her that she does know how to do all these fancy things that she used to do 3 years ago. Hey. Get on that hind end. Pick yourself up. Pick yourself up. Pick yourself up. Just liven these feet up for a second because she's not making much progression. She knows what she's doing. She knows how to be smart and catty and quick. Ooh. We're going to get after her. Hey. Get after her. Get after her. She knows what I'm asking her to do right now. She just don't want to get back on that hind end and make, there we go. We're going to go this way. Get after her. Liven up those feet there, Missy. Ooh. Hey. 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 You can see here as she's starting to liven up a little bit. I'm not getting after her with my legs, with my hands as much. Kind of giving her a break, giving her an opportunity to keep responding without having to get after. Ooh. Back. Just liven up these feet. Get after. Hey. This is the stuff that a lot of people don't show you. They show you the, oh, you do this so much, you do that so much. Don't ever get after your horse. Don't ever, get rough with them. Don't ever get too demanding with them because that's abuse. But you just need to get after them once in a while and be like, hey, listen. Back. 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 I'm just really I'm not going by any plan here or anything with what I'm asking her to do other than the fact that as I'm riding her, I'm feeling for stuff, whether she's going to respond or not. So like right there, she really didn't want to change directions on me, so change directions. Get after her. She's wanting to go the other way, so we're going to go this way. Get after her. Bend that body. Pick yourself up. Liven up those feet. We're going to go this way. Change directions. Hey. Hey. Get after her. Liven up a little bit here, sweetie. Ooh. See right there? I got a better stop right there coming from the trot after livening her up and being like, hey. Did you hear? You're not giving me enough. Come on. Let's make an effort. I got a better stop right there from the ask at the trot than I ever did at the walk. Just because I was like, hey, no, listen up here, Missy. We need to get after it. We're not making an effort. And those are the things that she would do with me on a regular basis. This is the stuff that you're going to have to do with a horse when they're just not being responsive. They're not wanting to listen. Hey, hey, hey. There we go. This is how you're going to have to get after them for it. So many people are against getting after your horse. I'm not sitting there just ripping off her face the entire time. Non-stop pressure. When she was doing the right thing, I was giving her a head. When she started trying to get lazy on me,